Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show, and welcome to my latest The Gutters episode, my audio journal. So, as it often seems to be the case these days, I start off with an update on kind of health-related things, I guess, whether it's COVID or these things that I'm going to talk about next. We've had some fires around where I live that have caused a lot of smoke accumulation to the point of being kind of dangerous, especially for people that have issues breathing-wise or other disorders that where heavy smoke may contribute to their overall health. Fortunately, the smoke has seemed to have dissipated. We had some weather fronts come in and kind of blow it out, or rain that helped to deal with that. But where I live is, hundreds of miles inland, where the big fires that you may have heard about in Oregon and in California. And so what was happening was the weather patterns were blowing the smoke out to the Pacific and then back inland, and we got a lot of that stuff. Now, we also have some smaller fires near where I live that contributed to it, but a lot of that was just because of, like I said, those weather patterns. Like I said, that stuff has dissipated, thankfully, because, man, it really gets hard. I mean, I don't have an issue really with, or I don't have a condition that gets exacerbated because of the smoke, but it does get difficult to breathe after a while. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise that we have to wear the face masks because of the COVID-19 pandemic, because the masks do kind of help a little bit anyway when we're out and about getting groceries or just driving to work or whatever. I did change my furnace filter yesterday, and boy, it was pretty dark, the filter, from all the smoke. And I had just changed that filter probably within the last month before the smoke arrived. And so the amount of particulates that the filter caught is just amazing in that short time span. So if you haven't done so and you're in the affected areas here in the Pacific Northwest, or maybe even, I guess, further southwest from where I live, you might want to change your filters if you haven't done that already. The other thing I wanted to talk about, this is something that happened at the time of this recording was about 3 weeks ago. And I've posted about this on social media, but I wanted to throw it out here on the podcast as well, since that's what I do. Like I said, about 3 weeks ago, I had a bicycle accident. So on the Friday before Labor Day, I went for a bike ride. And the interesting thing about that was that day we were supposed to actually drive down to the Boise area to visit my daughter. And just because of various things, we ended up not going down there. And so I decided to go for a bike ride. And I've done this many times before. I like to ride my bike. I was sort of kind of training to take this, basically this 30-mile bike ride from where I live to this neighboring town 30 miles away. And I just wanted to try it out, and so I decided that I needed to get back on that. And so I went for that bike ride. So the ride that I took that day was to a nearby small town, which was about 15 miles away. Just under 15 miles away. So that would get me to the about 30 miles, round trip. And so that would be a great way to just kind of see how I do with that, how long it took me, and just generally gauge how I could, or how quickly I could do the other trip that I was thinking about. Anyway, so I rode out to this little town, had a great ride out. It was beautiful weather. It was sunny. It was a bit cool at first, but that quickly changed because it started heating up from just riding. I had eaten breakfast that morning. I had just a little bit of something because I knew that I needed to have a little bit of energy in me, especially for the return trip. And I had plenty of water as well. Like I said, great trip out there. I even kind of rode into town a little bit to kind of see. I mean, I drive through that town, fairly occasionally in my travels around the area, but I don't really stop or take a look around this little town. I mean, there's not much to it. You blink and you miss it. It's that small of a town. But I decided to go into town on the bike and just kind of, take a look around. And so it was just a nice little leisurely ride around that town, and then I decided to head on back. And so this is where the story takes a dark turn, because on the way back, so I think I was about 2/3, maybe 3/4 of the way back, and about the halfway point, I stopped for a little water break, and I had done this on the way out too. I stopped 2 times before I got to the town. And then I stopped in the town before I went on that little jaunt to see the sights, and just kind of, stretched a little bit, drank some water, just took a few minutes, right? Because I was, like I said, for that other ride that I wanted to take, I figured I would need to do that. And so I just wanted to condition myself to, don't push too hard, take some breaks, drink some water. And so, like I said, on the way about halfway back, I did that. And then shortly after that, I don't know how long it was, I remember thinking, and I was on this bike trail, and I was, feeling a bit tired, but I was really mostly just hungry. And I remember thinking, so I was on the trail. It was kind of this flat part of the trail. I remember that distinctly, and I remember thinking, I think it was about between 11 and 11:30 in the morning, and I remember thinking distinctively and clearly that I couldn't wait to get back home so that I could go have lunch with my family. And that's the last thing I remember. Because after that, so on that, like I said, I was on that flat part, and then at some distance after that, and I don't know exactly how much or how long of a distance that was between where I remember I was and where I ended up, because I ended up wrecking my bike. And where it was is this little, there's a downward slope, and there's a couple curves. It's an S curve. We refer to it as an S curve there. And you go down the slope and take a sharp left, and then you go up this little hill and you take a right, and then you level off again. And that's the S curve in this trail. And I wrecked into that first curve of the S. And the reason I guess I'm not describing this well is because I don't remember what happened. All I know is at one point I remember thinking that thing about lunch, and the next thing I knew, I was on the ground. My bike was kind of on top of me. I was trying to get up. I remember thinking, this is the next clear thought that I had. I remember thinking, I'm in trouble. And I kept trying to get up, and I couldn't do it. My head was pounding. I don't know. My body felt overwhelmed. I was breathing hard and fast, and I couldn't get myself up to get into my bike bag to get my phone so I could call my wife. So anyway, at some point after that realization that I knew I'd wrecked, I was in trouble, and I couldn't get up, this other biker came across me on the trail and stopped and helped me. The guy's name was Mark. I don't remember if he told me his last name, but he helped me get my phone out. He asked my permission to call 911 because he felt that concerned about me that I needed emergency services at that time. I'm like, no, I just need to call my wife first. And so he got my phone out. I called my wife, and I think I said something along the lines of, I wrecked on my bike. And actually that's all I remember what I said to my wife. I know I said more. And this is part of the problem. Like I said, I don't remember how I wrecked, why I wrecked, what happened. But there's also bits of the event surrounding this wreck that I really don't remember. because jumping the timeline here, the ER doctor diagnosed me with a concussion, and that is one of the things that happens is that you can lose your memory about the events surrounding the impact. And so I don't really remember what I said to my wife. I should have asked her about that before I started recording. I'll have to ask her about that after I'm done. But anyway, what I do remember is that after I said whatever I said to my wife, she and Mark were talking, and I heard him say he wouldn't let me. And then next thing I know, he's saying, "Okay, I need you to call 911." Or he called 911. I don't remember. And so what I found out later was that when Mark started talking to my wife again, my wife said, "Have you called 911?" And that's when he said that. And then she said, "Get off the phone and call 911." And so we did, or he did. I guess he did, because I remember hearing him talking to the emergency dispatcher. And so then, of course, the police arrived. I think it was the sheriff's department. And then the paramedics, the EMTs arrived, and they helped me and put me in the ambulance and took me to the ER. Anyway, so then, yeah, we get to the ER, and my wife joins me there because she had started driving. As soon as she got off the phone, she started driving, trying to find the S curve on the bike trail, and she did not know where it was. She's not that familiar with the trail. Plus, it's some parts of the trail are hard to see from the highway. And so she ended up actually in that small town that I had ridden to and was on my way back from, and stopped at the gas station that's there right as you come into town from where we live. Anyway, so she got some help there and found out, because the person at the gas station knew a guy who told my wife that I was in the ambulance on the way to the ER. So she hightailed it there. Anyway, so she eventually met me there, which was very comforting to me. So, anyway, they did some tests. They did an MRI and all this stuff. And like I said, they diagnosed me with this concussion. And I banged up my knees really bad. Here it is 3 weeks later, and I still have this big bruise on my right knee. I still have some scrapes and healing scrapes on my left knee. And they hurt. They still hurt today. It's like today we went grocery shopping, and my knees are just aching from that. It's incredible how 3 weeks later I still feel this way. So, like I said, in the ER, had this MRI, other tests that they're doing, checking me out, and then the fun doesn't stop, because during the course of the MRI, I think it was an MRI, they found this nodule on my thyroid, and they're asking me all these questions about family history and like, do you have cases of thyroid cancer in your family? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't think so. And they say, well, it could be cancerous. It could also be benign. And anyway, you gotta go see a specialist and get a biopsy and blah, blah, blah. And so, I got that hanging over my head right now. So yay. Fortunately, though, that is in process. I finally have an appointment with the specialist. Anyway, so I'm trying not to think about that too much because, But they cleaned me up and we left. I spent basically the rest of that day in bed, basically recuperating, just sleeping as much as possible. And the next day, a lot of that day was spent sleeping. Now, I don't think I've slept that much, with the exception of the surgery. The hernia repair surgery I had several years ago. I don't think I've slept that much in a very, very long time. But it's incredible. So, you get over how badly your body hurts after being knocked around, essentially, like that, like I was. But like I said, it's 3 weeks later, and I'm still having some physical issues. Like I said, my knees hurt. I cannot go grocery shopping with my wife without, at the end, feeling just completely wiped out. I get very tired, and my body starts to shake. And it's not like I haven't had enough to eat or drink or whatever, because boy, let me tell you, my appetite went way up as I was recovering, and I just kind of went with it. Usually, I try to limit the intake of what I'm putting in my body, just because I don't want to gain a lot of weight. But I didn't worry about that so much, although I'm getting to that point again where I probably should. Because mostly I say that because I took this opportunity to just indulge, I guess, and that's not a good way to well, it's not a good diet, I guess. But anyway, like I said, I get really tired, and in fact, as I'm recording this, not half an hour ago, we got back from grocery shopping, and I was already feeling lightheaded before we went, and then as I was helping bring in the groceries for my wife, I had to stop and sit down and basically put my head in my hands and just kind of breathe and try to relax and regain, I don't know, my balance. Anyway, it's been like that off and on for the last 3 weeks. I thought I was on the mend actually until last week, last Monday night. So just about a week ago, we were on our way back from visiting someone, and I just started feeling really, again, lightheaded. The lights, we were driving back in the evening, and the lights from the oncoming traffic were really bothering me. And then I just got I got a bad headache, and I went to work the next morning, and I was still feeling kind of the same, but not enough to, I thought, to prevent me from going to work. But then I got not even halfway through the day, and it was just too much. I couldn't focus on the monitors, the computer monitors. It was giving me making my headache worse. The lights, the lights around, the office lighting was just really bugging me. And I went home, and I proceeded to take a 2-hour nap that day. And it took another day and a half before I felt more normal, I guess. And so what's going on with me today just kind of feels like a miniature version of that. Although I feel good enough here where I'm sitting at my desk and recording this, so it's not as bad as it was last week, thankfully. But still, like, my point is that it's been 3 weeks and I'm still dealing with this. Part of it's, I think, my age, being 51. It takes longer to recuperate from stuff, generally speaking. But this was a major impact to me, the wreck, and obviously I'm still not over the effects of that unfortunate occurrence in my life. So I guess the moral of the story is be careful out there, and make sure you go see your doctor when you when you get into a bike wreck. Boy. The funny thing about that whole thing was I checked out my bike. This was several days later. In fact, I think it was almost a week later. And because I thought, well, if I wrecked bad enough to injure myself as I did. Oh, and my bike helmet, I checked this out like the next day after it happened. My bike helmet broke. Like a piece of it, I can see it snapped all the way through. So the impact of me falling off the bike was that great. So obviously I had to replace, and actually did. I just bought that yesterday. I replaced my bike helmet. And yes, obviously you can infer from that I plan on going out for more bike rides because you got to get back on the saddle and all that. This has not diminished my love for going for bike rides or anything. It's not like I don't want any part of that anymore. But I think that 30-mile bike ride, at least for this year, is out. I don't think I will be tackling anything like that anytime soon. And maybe I should, in the short term, not go bike riding by myself, just in case. One of the things the doctors did say or were concerned about, because, like I said, I have no memory. I don't know why it happened. So this is kind of embarrassing to say, but what the hell? They concluded that I fainted, but they don't know why. And so they had me actually wear a heart monitor for a couple of weeks because that's one thing. If you have a heart condition that can cause you to faint. And so I wore that for 2 weeks, sent it off. We're waiting for the results, but they're just trying to figure out exactly what happened. But so I probably should not go for bike rides by myself, just in case it happens again. I kind of think maybe I overdid it, really, as opposed to some other cause for this. Or, it could just be that I took that S-curve too fast, or just lost control, or there was some obstacle I tried to avoid. But regardless, I should be a little more careful. And I guess, that is that. It's been fun, guys. I have to tell you. So one of the things that is I guess a side benefit of this whole thing was, like, the first few days I was not working, and I was basically either in bed sleeping or I was on my chair with my legs up and watching television. And so I watched some stuff. Mostly just basically anything, whatever the family wanted to watch. It wasn't like I was trying to catch up on some stuff myself, but I also couldn't, for that first week, I really couldn't focus on the TV a whole lot anyway, just because how it made my head feel. But once I got past that, over these last couple of weeks, I have been watching some things. And so, let's see here. What did we finished Umbrella Academy season 2. That was highly anticipated in my family. I watched the first season a while back. Madison, my 14-year-old granddaughter, got into it and started watching it, and that got my wife interested. And then all four of us decided to get caught up on season 1 because season 2 is going to start soon. So I guess this actually happened before my wreck, but we ended up watching the end of season 2 after my wreck, I think. Like I said, time is a little jumbled in my head right now still. So sometimes I have to think about things, not just timeline wise, but I guess I didn't really talk about that before, but I have trouble remembering real basic things sometimes. No, I shouldn't say basic things. I'm trying to search for a word, which is great when you're on a podcast, by the way, and you're kind of doing it live. I'm having trouble trying to come up with words, the thing I wanted to say. And, just basically things I should already know and I've forgotten about. It's not like I'm not like the guy in that movie Memento. Memento? Anyway, I'm not that bad, but it's a little disconcerting. Anyway, so we watched Umbrella Academy season 2. I didn't enjoy that as much as I did season 1, but it was still an enjoyable series. So we'll see what happens with the third season. I think they're getting a third season. I also finished, and I did this. I do remember this. I did this after the wreck. I finished watching the Netflix show Hilda, which is this animated series that I have talked about on the Gutters before. And it was nice to finish the show finally. I still find the show adorable. I think I started watching that show 2 years ago because I found it on Netflix while we were babysitting granddaughter Hadley, and she wanted nothing to do with it. But in just the few minutes that I watched, I was like, "Ooh, I like this show." So over the course of the next 2 years, I've been watching it. So it was nice to finish that. I recommend it. Watching it with your kids, or if you just enjoy kind of fantasy / supernatural kids animated series programming, I guess, is kind of the way to think about it. Also finished watching rewatching. I guess it's rewatching because pretty sure I watched all of season 1 of Voyager when it originally aired. But I wanted to watch the entirety of Voyager and decided to start at the beginning because I haven't watched all of Voyager. It's the only, I'm sure I've said this before, so I apologize if this is a repeat for some of you listeners. I have not watched all of Voyager, and it's the only Star Trek series that's already aired that I haven't watched completely. I need to, well, speaking of that, I guess technically that's not true. I need to watch Lower Decks because I think that's the season's over, or maybe it's close to being over. Anyway, I'll watch that very soon, hopefully. And then, of course, watch Discovery Season 3. But anyway, so I finished watching Season 1, and I have some notes that I took for the Center Seat podcast, my Star Trek podcast. I already have a few episodes of those out in the feed here, so if you're interested in me talking about Star Trek, well, there's the plug for that. Anyway, movie-wise, the family and I watched the Disney Plus released Mulan, the live-action Mulan movie. That was the animated version of that movie was kind of a favorite of mine. It's definitely one of my daughter's favorites. My younger daughter, Brittany, really loved the original Mulan. It's also one of Madison's favorites as well. And so we were highly anticipating watching this movie and got to do that shortly after its debut on Disney Plus. Again, I was not, kind of like with Umbrella Academy Season 2, I was not all that impressed with it. It didn't seem to have, I don't know, the energy that the original animated movie did. Definitely not the humor, for sure. I mean, there were some humorous moments, but nothing like the joyfulness of the animated movie that was part of the animated movie. So I don't know. I just didn't like it as well as I thought I might. But my daughter loved it. My wife liked it. So I don't know. Didn't really fit the bill for me. Definitely not fitting the bill was the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War movie that I watched that was finally released on the DCU app. I think a few weeks ago. But I watched that. I've complained before, I think, about the quality or the tone, maybe more the tone, of the latest bunches of animated DC movies. I have not been caring for them pretty much at all. In fact, whereas I used to buy all of these DC animated movies on disc, I stopped doing that a while back. I think I haven't bought the last four or five, just because I don't feel the need to do so, because I just don't care for them that much. But I did watch it. It was okay, just like the others. They're okay, but I just I don't know what they really did with the tone. I mean, they did kind of make it more adult. They've been releasing R-rated animated movies. I think that's a big mistake. I don't need to see a bunch of blood being splattered across the screen, or people getting shot up and cut up and tore up, and not to mention the same. These movies all seem to have the same kind of color palette and lighting, so to speak, that is just, do something different already. Fortunately, segue, they have started this new new series, I'll say, of movies. And they started with Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And boy, what a breath of fresh air that was. I watched this during the DC Fandom, the part 2 of the DC Fandom event. They did a live streaming of that movie. It had just come out on streaming a few days before, or it was out on disc a few days before. I forget now. But anyway, I didn't have to wait. So normally, not normally, these last few DCU animated movies, I've been waiting until they appear on the DC Universe app. And I didn't have to wait for this one. Or I guess in the near future, it will be on the HBO Max app. But anyway, I was able to watch it during DC Fandom. So I got to do that and live tweeted it as I was watching it, which is fun. But like I said, breath of fresh air, different tone, much less dark of a movie, more hopeful. Superman being Superman, the Superman I know, the hopeful representation of truth, justice, and light. And I don't know, just it was definitely 180 degrees in the right direction away from how Superman was portrayed in the Justice League Dark Apocalypse War movie. I hated the way that they showed Superman in that Justice League Dark movie. That was not Superman. That was an abomination. And the people who did that should be fired. Anyway, Superman, Man of Tomorrow, a good first opening shot, if you will, of this new series of DC animated movies. So I'm looking forward to what comes next. So I mentioned DC Fandom. That was fun. I'm glad that they did what they did, because the first one was a bunch of more TV movie related stuff, and then the second one was a bunch of watch as you want or when you want videos of various things, including there was a lot of Q&A stuff. There were like 7 or 8 Q&As with Jim Lee, and I think it was during the 7th one where we found out, I think that was it, where we found out that the DC Universe app would be sticking around, but it will be transitioned, believe, in January of 2021 to be a comic book only service, a digital comic book only service. So they're moving all of the TV and movie stuff over to HBO Max at that time. But I tell you what, while it has been nice to watch these animated movies and the series and whatnot on the DC Universe app, I really use it to read the digital, the backlog, their catalog of stuff that they've been putting out there. And I think it was this DC Fandom Q&A thing, or maybe it was after that. Again, memory. Oh, this is fun. Anyway, it was announced that also that the digital comics would be the newer stuff that's coming out now. 6 months later, they'll release it on the app, which is 6 months earlier than what they had been doing. So that's good. That means I can read, other DC comics that I'm not currently subscribed to in print form. So that'll be nice. Anyway, like I said, the DCU app has been, for me, a great expenditure. I get my money's worth, in other words, out of the DCU app just for the comics. So having the other stuff was just gravy, but I won't miss it that much, I think, anyway. Who knows? I might be moving or getting another streaming subscription here in the near future. We'll see. What else? Besides DC fandom, there was also, so just a few short days after my accident was Star Trek Day on September 8th. And that was a day of various panels where they talked to the various television series with some of the actors or producers or whatever. That was kind of fun. It was kind of neat to see, especially the Enterprise and Voyager panels, because you got to see some of those cast members interact with each other after all this time. Because I think Voyager, it's their 25th anniversary from when they debuted, something like that. Enterprise, it's almost 10 years or about 10 years somewhere, something like that. So, no, wait. 20 years. Yeah, it's 20. I think maybe my math is wrong with some of this stuff. Doesn't sound quite right, but maybe it is. Anyway, it was nice to see them. Although I have to say, some of the moderators of these things should have made more of an effort to talk to some of the other cast members, like with the Enterprise one. And I think this is Will Wheaton, and I know, who knows. Maybe some of that stuff got cut out because these were not live as far as I could tell. These were pre-recorded and to fit within a certain time frame. And so maybe they did end up talking with some of these other cast members, like I can't remember the actress's name, but she played Hoshi on Enterprise. She barely got a few words in the whole time, and I thought, well, that's not right. And then there was somebody on the Voyager cast where it's like they barely talked to the guy. It was either Robert Picardo or Ethan Phillips. I can't remember which one, but they didn't get much. They didn't get much airtime. Is what I'm trying to say. And so I thought, they should have done a better job at having everybody contribute to the conversation. So, but regardless, it was kind of fun to see, and also celebrate Star Trek because it's one of my favorite things. What else? I've been reading a bunch of digital comics. I bought a Humanoids Humble bundle some weeks back, and in preparation for a possible upcoming podcast with someone, we have been reading those books. So I think we are going to be recording here fairly soon about that. So I need to get back to that and read a bunch more. It's been interesting, the humanoid stuff. Yeah, I will have some thoughts about that for that upcoming episode. So keep an eye out for that if you're interested. Besides that, there was a game that a PC game that I bought. No, I didn't buy it. Epic Games has been doing or been releasing some titles for free every week. And one of the games that they released was this game called Tacoma. And I had read a review of that game, I don't know, a while back. Not entirely sure why I was reading that, but anyway, I did. And then this game came up. I'm like, wait a minute, is that the game that I read about? And yes, and sure enough, it was. And boy, let me tell you, if you have not played this game, and I like to play video games. I would not say I'm a gamer, quote unquote gamer, because I can't even tell you what type of game this is. I can describe it for you, but first person shooter, and that's obvious. That's not what this game is. But I don't know what type of game this would be categorized as. But it was very immersive. There was a point in the game where I just suddenly realized, oh my God, I am watching a murder mystery unfold. And I am basically walking through the graveyard of this space. And it was kind of chilling. But anyway, but the game is there's a space station called Tacoma, and there's an accident, and you are an investigator trying to collect this data and piece together what happened. And so you're just going from room to room and looking for clues and discovering these data points, these recordings essentially of these people's lives, what they said, what they did. And like I said, it was very immersive. I really enjoyed it. I've never played a game quite like that. And even though the graphics are really what you might think of as low key, very simple, it's still, I don't know, that I felt that contributed to the overall quality of the experience. So anyway, I highly recommend it. If you've not played Tacoma, you should. So, and it only took me maybe a couple hours. I mean, I did this over the course of, I don't know, maybe 4 days, 3 or 4 days. But it didn't really take me that long. And I know, having been intrigued enough to kind of read up on the game a little bit after I finished it, or actually right before I finished it, because I felt like I was missing something. And it turns out there's a bunch of stuff that, while it does not affect the outcome of the game, it does increase the enrichment of playing the game. And so there's just a whole bunch of like Easter eggy type stuff, or side missions, or little things that you can accomplish in the game. Like I said, that doesn't really impact the overall storyline. So I may go back and replay the game from the beginning. Oh, and I also found out that there is a part of you can either play the game normally, or you can play it kind of like a director's cut. Director's commentary. And so you have the developers and other people involved with the production of the game at certain points where you're playing along, and then you can stop and listen to them talk about that part of the game. I thought that was kind of a neat thing. So I might go back and play the game again with that option on, and then do all the extra stuff that I missed. But yeah, wonderful game. Other game-wise, I just bought the first version of The Last of Us, because I've been wanting to play on my PS4, basically a zombie killing game, because I enjoyed so much Left 4 Dead on PC, and so I wanted to play a game like that. And so I read and heard from other people that The Last of Us is scratching that itch on the PS4 side. So I'm looking forward to playing that. Maybe I'll do that after I'm done recording this. And then finally, I just want to say that this weekend, as I record this, my daughter Brittany came to visit, and which is the first time that we have actually seen her in person since Christmas. Is that right? No, I think. Yeah. We did go visit her a few months back for a weekend. Anyway, so it's been a few months since I've seen her. She calls all the time. We call her. We get to see her over FaceTime on our phones, but it's not quite the same. Plus, getting to talk with her and her husband, and just being around little 3-year-old Hadley is, I cannot adequately express in words the joy I get from just being around her. Her energy and her joy, how everything in the world is new to her, and she's fearless. And if you can't tell, I love that little girl immensely, and same with my daughter. It was kind of bittersweet though at the end. This was last night. They were leaving to go get some dinner and get Hadley down for bed, because they were driving back to Boise today, Sunday. And this will be the last time that I actually will get to visit with her until sometime next year, because they're taking the whole pandemic thing very seriously. In fact, when we were in close quarters, we were wearing masks and we were not hugging and kissing like we would normally do especially with little Hadley, which breaks my heart. But I totally understand, and I agree with them in their approach to this. But she's going to be having her second baby here in the next couple months, and because of the potential for infection, she wants to limit the people, or how people can visit, and so I won't be able to go visit Brittany in person or see the new baby for a while. And like I said, that was really sad. But goddamn pandemic needs to go away. Anyway, so do your part. Wear a mask, wash your hands, do all that stuff, please. So very selfishly, I can go visit my new grandson when he gets here. So anyway, but it was very nice at the end when they were leaving. She did give me a hug, and I will admit I got a little teary-eyed because it hit me then, especially, that I won't be able to see her in this way for a while. Anyway, why did I end on such a dour note today? Well, let me bring this full circle and go back to my accident and say how much of a wonderful person my wife is. She really was helpful during these whole 3 weeks. She made sure that she kept making sure I got rest, kept encouraging me to rest. She would take care of the stuff that I do around the house, like the dishes and taking the garbage out and taking care of the dogs and all that kind of stuff that I normally do. She was doing all that and taking care of Gabby and Maddie and working and making dinners, because we often trade off on that. And she just took wonderful care of me and still is. So I just want to say here on the show, I love my wife, and I thank her very much for everything that she does for me. Because all the stuff that she does for me, not just relating to this, but just generally speaking, she's very supportive of my hobbies, my comic book collecting, the time that I spend doing the podcast. And she's, like I said, she's always very supportive. And so if you're listening, Kitra, I love you very much. So on that note, I will leave you. I hope you're having a good fall as we go into the holiday season. Hold your loved ones close and take care of them, take care of each other, and we'll get through this. And with that, I leave you. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.